Rain was hitting my window when a thick envelope slid under my door. I froze because nobody visits me at night. I picked it up and saw the return address, a nursing home. My name was written in shaky handwriting. Under it, one line, for my wife. My wife. I opened it with my nails. Inside was a letter and one photo. The letter started like this. I am your husband. I am in this nursing home. I have little time. I need you to come. You deserve the truth about that storm night. That storm night. Years ago, my husband believed a lie. His assistant said she found proof in my room. My mother-in-law stood there and watched. Then he pushed me outside while rain and wind screamed in my face. I read the next line slowly. I didn't just kick you out. I let something else happen. I kept quiet because I was scared. If you come, I will tell you who planned it and what they did after you hit the road. My throat went dry. I flipped the photo. It was a dark roadside, a mailbox, mud, and me on the ground, half-turned like I was dropped there. On the back, someone wrote in black marker. You were not alone that night. I stared at the words until my eyes burned. Then I heard it. A soft scrape outside my door. Like someone was standing there, listening, I stayed quiet and held the photo tight. The scrape came again, slow, like a shoe moving on the floor outside. I didn't call out, I didn't open the door. I walked to the kitchen and grabbed the small knife from the drawer. My hands were steady, but my mind was sharp. Someone knew about the letter. Someone brought it here for a reason. I moved back to the door and looked through the peephole. Nobody. But I saw something on the mat, a second envelope, smaller, no stamp, no name. I waited 5 full seconds, then opened the door fast. The hallway was empty. I picked up the envelope and locked the door again. My fingers tore it open. Inside was a single paper with only 4 lines. Don't go to the nursing home alone. Don't trust your husband. Don't trust his assistant. She kept a copy. A copy of what? I read it again and again. My heart didn't need to race for me to understand the danger. This wasn't guilt. This was a warning. I grabbed my phone and searched the nursing home name from the first letter. It was real, only 20 minutes away. Then I checked the time stamp on the forwarded mail label. It had been processed yesterday. So the letter was new. And the second envelope was even newer. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I didn't answer. The call ended, then a message popped up. I'm watching you right now. If you go there, you'll learn why he threw you out. My breath stopped. Because right after that, another message came from the same number. She is in your building. I didn't move for a second. I just stared at the message. She is in your building. I turned off my living room light. Then I went to the window and pulled the curtain a little. A car was parked across the street, engine off, lights off. Someone was inside. I stepped back and locked every lock again. Then I checked my bedroom window, closed, locked. My phone buzzed once more. Unknown number again. This time it was a photo. It was my front door, my exact door, taken from the hallway. I felt cold all over. So the person was not outside anymore. They had already walked away after taking the photo. They could be anywhere in the building now. I texted back with one line, "Who are you?" No answer. I grabbed my bag and stuffed in the letter, the photo, my ID, and cash. I didn't want to stay here if someone was hunting me. Then the doorbell rang. One ring. I stood still. I didn't breathe. The bell rang again, 2 fast rings. I walked to the peephole. A woman stood there with her head down, hoodie, hair covering her face. My hands tightened on the knife. Then she spoke, soft but clear. Please, open, I can't talk here. I didn't open. She lifted her head just enough for me to see her mouth. It's about your husband, and about his assistant. I felt my anger rise. Say your name. She whispered, I'm the one who found you that storm night. My grip loosened for a second. Then she added, they didn't just throw you out, someone followed you, and someone paid for it. My stomach turned. I looked again through the peephole. Her face was still partly hidden, but I saw something else. A red mark on her wrist, like an old rope burn. She leaned close to the door and said, if you don't open, she will win. She already thinks you're alone. Then my phone buzzed again. Another message from the unknown number. Don't open the door. That's not her. I didn't open the door. I didn't trust the message either. Someone was playing with me. I stepped back and spoke through the door. If you found me that night, tell me the place. The woman outside replied fast. Old Route 6, near the broken mailbox. You were in mud. Your lip was bleeding. My stomach tightened. That detail matched the photo and the letter. But the message said she was fake. I asked, what color was my sweater? She hesitated, just 1 second. Gray. I closed my eyes. That was wrong. It was dark blue. I still remembered because it got ripped that night. I whispered, you're lying. Her voice changed. It got harder. Open the door now. I took 2 steps back, then I heard it. A soft click. My door handle moved down. Someone had a key. I pushed my weight against the door and locked the top chain. The handle shook again, stronger. Then the woman hissed, you always made things difficult. I held the knife up, breathing through my nose. I looked at my phone. Another message came. Go to the fire exit, now. I didn't know who it was, but staying here was death. I grabbed my bag and ran to the back hallway. I didn't use the main stairs. I used the fire exit. The moment I opened that door, my phone buzzed again. Don't look back. I still looked. From the corner of the hallway, I saw her. The woman in the hoodie was walking toward the fire exit door. Fast, like she knew I would run. I slammed the door and ran down the stairs. My feet hit the last floor, and I pushed outside into the alley behind my building. Cold rain hit my face. Then I stopped, because someone was already standing in the alley, blocking the way. A woman. Long straight hair, clean coat, no hood. I knew her instantly. It was my husband's assistant. She smiled like this was normal. Then she said, you got my note right. My body went numb. Because that meant the warning message was from her, I didn't answer her. I slowly stepped back. My husband's assistant stood in the rain like she owned the alley. Her hair was dry, like she had been waiting under cover. She said, you look shocked. Why, I warned you. I asked, why are you here? She took 1 step closer. Because you're finally reading things you were never supposed to read. I tightened my grip on my bag strap. That letter is real. Her eyes flicked to my bag. Yes, and the photo too. I backed up again, but the fire exit door behind me suddenly opened. The hoodie woman stepped out. Now I was trapped between both of them. The hoodie woman said, give me the letter. The assistant smiled. No, give it to me. My mind went clear. 2 people wanted the same thing. That meant the letter had proof. I said, I'm not giving you anything. The assistant sighed. You still don't understand. Your husband is not your husband anymore. He's dying, and he's scared. He sent that letter because his guilt is eating him. I asked, guilt for what? Her smile dropped. For letting me do it. The hoodie woman moved forward. Stop talking. The assistant ignored her and looked at me. He kicked you out because I told him you stole cash and pills. Your mother-in-law believed me. She wanted you gone. It was easy. My chest tightened. I said, then why follow me now? The assistant's voice got cold. Because your husband kept something, a recording, he hid it. He told me years later. I thought it was gone. The hoodie woman suddenly rushed toward me. I threw my bag behind me and grabbed the knife with both hands. She stopped instantly. The assistant laughed softly. See, she's not here to help you. The hoodie woman pointed at the assistant. She's lying. She paid someone to follow you that night. I saw it. The assistant's eyes sharpened. Shut up. Then she turned to me and said, you want the truth? You didn't collapse from fear that night. Someone grabbed you. Someone dragged you off the road. My mouth went dry. I whispered, who? The assistant leaned close and said, the person your husband hired, without knowing it was me. Then my phone vibrated. A call this time. The screen showed a name that made my blood turn cold. My husband. I stared at the call. My hands went stiff. My husband was calling me, right now, after years. The assistant watched my face. Pick it up, she said. Let's hear him beg. The hoodie woman whispered, don't. I answered anyway, hello. His voice came through, weak and shaky. It's me, please listen, don't go near her. I looked at the assistant. She smiled like she couldn't wait. I asked him, "Where are you?" He said, "Nursing home, room 214. They moved me today. I didn't send anyone to your door." The assistant's smile faded for half a second. I asked, "Then who did?" He coughed. "My assistant, she found out I wrote you. She's desperate. She thinks you have what she needs." I said, "She's standing in front of me." Silence. Then he whispered, "Then run." The assistant snapped, "Give me the phone." She reached for it. I stepped back fast. The hoodie woman moved too, like she was going to grab my arm. I yelled, "Stop." I pushed past them and ran toward the street. The assistant shouted behind me, "You can't run from this." I ran through rain, shoes slipping. I kept the phone to my ear. My husband said, "Go to the police." I asked, "What did you hide? What recording?" He paused, then he said, "The night you were thrown out, I heard her on the phone. She was talking to someone." I stopped for half a second under a streetlight. "Talking about what?" He said, "About paying a man, paying him to scare you, to make you disappear for a few days." My stomach turned. He continued, "I recorded it by accident. I was testing a new voice recorder for work. It captured her call." I started running again. Behind me, footsteps splashed in water. Someone was following. I didn't look back. My husband said, "She tried to get that recording for years. I hid it. I never told my mother." I asked, "Why didn't you help me then?" His voice broke. "Because I believed her lie. I thought you were a thief. I was angry. I was blind." Footsteps got closer. I turned into a narrow side street, dark, empty. Then my husband said something that made my whole body freeze. "She didn't only pay someone, she also paid a nurse in that nursing home." I whispered, "Why?" He answered, "To make sure I don't talk." Then a hand grabbed my shoulder from behind. I twisted fast and swung my arm. My elbow hit someone's chest. The grip loosened. I stepped back and raised the knife. It was the hoodie woman. She held her hands up. "Stop, I'm not here to hurt you." I kept the knife pointed at her. "Then why follow me?" She spoke fast. "Because she will kill you if you go to the police with that letter." My husband's voice was still on the phone. "Who is that?" I didn't answer him. I stared at the hoodie woman. She pulled her hood down slowly. Her face was older than I expected. Tired eyes, no makeup, real fear. She said, "My name doesn't matter. What matters is I saw what happened that storm night." I asked, "How?" She swallowed. "I was with the man she hired. I didn't know what the job was. He told me it was just a scare." My stomach dropped. I whispered, "So it's true. Someone followed me." She nodded. "Yes, he followed you after your husband threw you out. He waited until you got weak. Then he grabbed you." I felt sick. Behind her, at the end of the street, I saw a shadow moving near the corner. The hoodie woman saw it too. Her face changed. She grabbed my wrist. "Come now." I pulled away. "No." She said, "If she catches you, you won't reach that nursing home alive." My husband on the phone said, "Listen to her. Get inside somewhere, lock the door." I backed toward the nearest building entrance. A small laundromat with lights on. I rushed in. The hoodie woman followed me in and locked the glass door. A man behind the counter looked up. "What's going on?" I didn't answer. I kept watching outside. Then the assistant appeared at the end of the street, calm, walking slow, like she was enjoying it. She stopped outside the laundromat door and smiled at me through the glass. I held my phone tight. My husband whispered, "She's there, isn't she?" I said, "Yes." He coughed. "She will say anything. She will twist everything. She's been doing it for years." The assistant raised her hand and knocked on the glass. Tap, tap, tap. Then she mouthed words with a smile. I could read her lips clearly. "Come with me." The hoodie woman leaned close to my ear and whispered, "Your husband is lying too." I turned to her. "What?" She stared straight at me and said, "He didn't record her by accident. He recorded it because he was part of it." Then the laundromat door handle started turning from outside. The door handle kept turning, but the lock held. The assistant pressed her face to the glass. She said loudly, "Open the door. This is a private issue." The man behind the counter stepped forward. "Lady, leave or I'm calling security." She smiled at him sweetly. Call whoever you want." Then she looked at me again and lifted her phone. She showed me the screen through the glass. A live video call. On it I saw my husband in a bed, weak, pale, oxygen tube. I froze. But my husband was still on my phone too. Two husbands. The voice on my phone said, "Don't look at her screen, it's fake." The man on her screen suddenly spoke. I saw his lips match the words. "I'm sorry," he said. "Please come, please." My whole body went cold. So one of them was lying. I turned to the hoodie woman. "What is this?" She whispered, "She set this up. She has people everywhere. She even controls what you see." I said, "You told me he was part of it." She nodded. He let it happen." My mind snapped back to one thing, the recording. I asked the voice on my phone, "If you are real, prove it. Tell me what you hid." He said, "In my old office, behind the third drawer, a black recorder." The assistant outside laughed like she heard it too. Then she shouted, "Stop playing games, she doesn't know where your office is anymore." My breath stopped. How did she know what he said? My phone wasn't on speaker. That meant someone else was listening to my call. The hoodie woman grabbed my phone and ripped the back cover off. She pulled out something tiny stuck inside. A small tracker. She threw it on the floor and crushed it under her shoe. Then she looked at me. Now she can't hear. Outside, the assistant's smile faded. She realized it. She stepped back angry and started typing on her phone. A second later, the laundromat lights flickered. Once, twice. Then everything went dark. The machine stopped, the whole place went silent. The man behind the counter yelled, "Power's out." In the darkness, I heard the assistant's voice right outside the glass door. "Soft close. Now nobody will see what happens." The glass door suddenly shook. Something heavy hit it from outside. Once. Twice. Then the lock cracked. And the door started to open. The door opened a few inches. The hoodie woman grabbed my arm and pulled me toward the back room. "Run." We rushed past the counter. The man shouted, "Hey, stop." I heard another hit on the glass behind us. The assistant was forcing her way in. The back room had one emergency light, dim but enough to see. The hoodie woman pushed open a metal door. It led to a narrow service hallway. I asked, "Where are we going?" She said, "Out the back, then straight to the nursing home." I followed, breathing hard. My knife was still in my hand. We reached the exit door. She pushed it open. Rain hit my face again. We stepped into a small parking area behind the laundromat. A van was parked there, engine running, no lights. My stomach dropped. The hoodie woman stopped, too late. The van door slid open. Two men jumped out fast. One grabbed the hoodie woman, another came for me. I swung my knife. He caught my wrist, strong grip. He twisted my hand until the knife fell. I screamed and kicked him. He didn't even move. The assistant walked out of the darkness behind them, calm, dry, smiling. She said, "Enough drama, put her in." I struggled, but the man lifted me like I was nothing and shoved me into the van. I hit the floor hard. My bag flew away from my shoulder. The hoodie woman yelled outside, "Don't take her, she didn't do anything." The assistant slapped her so hard she fell. Then the assistant looked into the van at me and said, "You always survive, don't you? Even that storm night you survived." I yelled, "Why are you doing this?" She leaned in, "Because your husband is dying, and when he dies, the only thing that can destroy me is you." The van door slid shut. Dark. The engine roared. I crawled and felt around. My hands touched my bag. I pulled it close. Then I felt something else inside the van. A phone. It was taped under the seat. I ripped it off. The screen lit up. One contact only. Saved as room 214. The phone started ringing in my hand. I answered without thinking. A weak voice whispered, "She has you again, doesn't she?" It was my husband. Then he said, "Listen carefully. The lie started with your mother-in-law." The van shook as it moved fast through the rain. I held the hidden phone tight. I whispered, "What do you mean my mother-in-law started it?" My husband said, "She hated you from the first day. She wanted you out, she didn't care how." I closed my eyes. I remembered her stare at dinner, her fake smile. I asked, so she told your assistant to frame me? He said no, worse, she chose her. I gripped the phone harder. Explain. He coughed, then spoke slowly. My assistant didn't come to me by luck. My mother hired her first. She placed her near me. She told her everything about you, your weak points, your habits, your past. My breath turned sharp. I whispered, so both of them planned it. He said, yes, and I was stupid enough to trust them. The van suddenly turned hard. I hit the side wall. The phone almost slipped. I heard the men talking in front, low voices, laughing. I asked my husband, where are they taking me? He said, to the nursing home. I froze, why there? He answered, because she thinks the recorder is with me. She thinks you can lead her to it. I said, you told her it's in your office. He whispered, it's not. My body went cold. Then where is it? He paused, then he said, in my mother's house. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I whispered, so she has it. He said, no, she has the house, but she never found it. I hid it in a place she wouldn't touch. The van slowed down. I heard a gate open. Then the van rolled onto a smooth road. No more bumps. My husband whispered, they are at the nursing home now. Listen, when the door opens, don't fight, don't scream, act weak. I swallowed. Why? He said, because the nurse on night duty is paid. She will inject you with something that makes you sleep. My eyes widened. How do you know? His voice dropped, because she already did it once. I whispered, what? He said, that storm night, you didn't pass out from cold. They made you pass out. Then they left you on the road. The van stopped completely. I heard the sliding door unlock. Then the assistant's voice came from outside, close to my ear through the metal. Welcome back, wife. The van door slid open. Bright lights hit my eyes. The assistant stood there with two men behind her. She looked happy, like she won. I held my body loose and acted weak like my husband told me. I let my head drop a little. She said, carry her, don't let her fall. One man grabbed my arm and pulled me out. My feet dragged on the ground. We were in the back parking area of the nursing home. The building looked quiet, too quiet. They took me through a staff door. No cameras in that hallway. I noticed that fast. The assistant whispered, you see, nobody is coming, nobody will save you. I didn't answer. We reached an elevator. She pressed a button and smiled at me. Second floor. When the doors opened, the hallway was empty. Then I saw it. A nurse at the end of the hall waiting, white uniform, gloves on already. The nurse looked at me with cold eyes and said, sedation. The assistant nodded. Yes, room 214. My stomach turned, but I kept acting weak. They dragged me into a room. The lights were low, machines beeped. On the bed, I saw an old man's shape. But when I got closer, I realized something. That man was not old. It was my husband. He looked thin and sick, but still him. His eyes opened and locked on mine. He whispered, I'm sorry. The assistant walked to his bed and touched his face gently like she cared. Don't waste your breath. My husband looked at her with hate. You ruined everything. She laughed. No, your mother did, I just helped. The nurse came closer with a syringe. My husband tried to lift his hand, but he was too weak. I kept my eyes half closed. I acted like I was about to collapse. The nurse grabbed my arm and cleaned my skin. I knew this was the moment. If the needle went in, I would lose. I moved fast. I slammed my elbow into the nurse's wrist. The syringe flew and hit the floor. The assistant screamed, grab her. I kicked the nurse back and ran to the door. But one of the men blocked it. He grabbed my hair and pulled my head back. I screamed, but the hallway stayed quiet. Nobody came. The assistant rushed to me and held my face tight with her hands. She whispered into my ear, I warned you, you should have just stayed for God. Then she looked at my husband and said, now tell her where the recorder is, or I will finish this. My husband stared at me, tears in his eyes. Then he said, it's hidden inside her room. The assistant froze. And slowly, she turned her head toward the nurse. Because the nurse's name tag read. Mother-in-law's NAMEI stared at the nurse's tag again. My hands went cold. It wasn't just a nurse. It was my mother-in-law. She looked different, hair tied, glasses, but the eyes were the same eyes that watched me get thrown out. The assistant stepped back slowly. What is this? My mother-in-law picked up the fallen syringe and stood up straight. She didn't look scared at all. She said, "Don't act surprised. You wanted help, I gave you help." The assistant's voice shook. "You told me you were out of town." My mother-in-law smiled. "I lied like you." My husband whispered from the bed, "Mother, stop." She didn't even look at him. She walked toward me and brushed my hair out of my face like I was a child. She said, "You still don't know your place, do you?" I spat. "You dressed as a nurse to drug me." She replied calmly, "Yes, because you keep coming back, you keep surviving." The assistant looked angry now. "You told me the recorder is in my husband's old office." My mother-in-law turned and stared at her. "I told you what you needed to hear, so you would do the dirty work." The assistant whispered, "You used me." My mother-in-law nodded. "And you used my son, so we are equal." My stomach twisted. Both of them were monsters, but they were turning on each other. I looked at my husband. His eyes were wide. He looked scared, not for himself, but for me. He said weakly, "She's going to kill you." My mother-in-law turned back to him. "No, I'm going to fix the problem you created." Then she lifted the syringe again. The assistant suddenly grabbed her wrist. "No, not yet, I need the recorder." My mother-in-law slapped her hand away. "You don't need anything, you already got what you wanted. She was gone for years." The assistant screamed, "And now she's back because you couldn't keep him quiet." My husband coughed hard, blood touched his lips. I used that moment. The man holding my hair loosened his grip because he was watching the fight. I slammed my heel on his foot. He yelled. I broke free and grabbed the hidden phone from my pocket. I ran to the bed and shoved it to my husband. "Call police." My mother-in-law saw it and lunged at me. I moved back, but she caught my sleeve and hissed, "Give it." Then the room door opened. A security guard stepped in and said, "We got a complaint about screaming." My mother-in-law smiled like an angel and said, "It's okay, family issue." The guard nodded like a fool. Then the assistant looked at me and whispered the worst thing. "Don't celebrate, he's on our payroll too." The security guard shut the door behind him. He didn't even ask my name. He didn't even look at my bruised arm. My mother-in-law walked to the door and locked it herself. The assistant smiled at me. "See, nobody will help you here." I backed up until my legs hit the bed. My husband tried to sit up. "Stop this, please." My mother-in-law snapped, "Be quiet. You already ruined everything by sending that letter." My husband whispered, "I didn't send anyone to her door. I only sent the letter." The assistant's eyes narrowed. "So who sent the second warning note?" My mother-in-law stayed quiet. That silence was my answer. She did it. She wanted me scared. She wanted me to run. She wanted me trapped here. The assistant stepped closer to my husband. "Tell me where the recorder is." He shook his head. "I won't." My mother-in-law raised the syringe again. "Then I will make her sleep and dump her far away again, like last time." Again. So it was true, they already did this once. I whispered, "You left me on the road." She stared at me. "Yes, and I prayed you would die, but God didn't listen." No emotion, no regret. My whole body felt hot with anger, but I didn't waste words. I looked at the window. Second floor, rain outside, but there was a drain pipe close enough. I needed one chance. The assistant grabbed my wrist. "Give me the letter and photo." I said no. She slapped me. Not hard enough to knock me down, hard enough to make me obey. But I didn't. I pushed her back, she stumbled. My mother-in-law rushed at me with the syringe. I grabbed her wrist with both hands and twisted. The syringe dropped again. She screamed, "Hold her." The men moved, one grabbed my shoulders. I kicked hard and hit his knee, he cursed. My husband suddenly pulled the oxygen tube out and threw himself off the bed. He fell on the floor with a loud crash. Everyone froze for half a second. He used that second to crawl and grab the syringe. Then he shouted with all his weak strength, "If you touch her again, I will inject myself and die right now." My mother-in-law stopped. The assistant stopped too. My husband's hand shook, but the needle was pointed at his own neck. He looked at me. "Run when I tell you." My throat tightened. Then my mother-in-law smiled slowly and said, "Do it, die." My husband froze. And the assistant whispered, "She means it. She wants you dead too." My husband's eyes filled with fear, not of dying, fear of realizing the truth. He whispered, "Mother, you want me dead." My mother-in-law stepped closer. "You're already half dead, don't act shocked." The assistant backed away from her. "You never told me this." My mother-in-law replied coldly, "Because you talk too much." I understood it then. This wasn't only about the recorder. They wanted to erase everything, including him, including me. My husband's hand trembled as he held the syringe to his neck. He looked at me again and whispered, "Window." I moved without thinking. I ran to the window and unlocked it fast. Rain and cold air hit my face. Behind me, the assistant shouted, "Stop her." One of the men charged at me. I grabbed a chair and slammed it into him. He stumbled back. My mother-in-law screamed, "Don't let her escape." My husband suddenly yelled, "Now." He pushed the syringe into his own arm. The assistant screamed in panic and ran to him. "No, are you crazy?" That was my chance. I climbed onto the window ledge. 2 floors down. I didn't jump to the ground. I grabbed the drain pipe and slid down hard, burning my palms. I landed in wet bushes. My ankle twisted, but I didn't stop. I ran through the back area of the nursing home. Then I heard footsteps behind me. The assistant. She was chasing me alone. She shouted, "Wait, I can help you." I kept running. She shouted louder, "Your mother-in-law will kill us both. She doesn't care about me either." I stopped near a fence. My breath was heavy. Rain covered my face. I turned toward her and held the knife again. I had picked it up from my bag before climbing. I said, "Why should I trust you?" She raised both hands. "Because I was the one who followed you after you were kicked out." My blood went cold. She continued fast, "Yes, I did it. I hired the man, I watched you fall, but I didn't know she would drug you and leave you like trash. That part was her." I stared at her. "So you admit everything?" She nodded, "Yes, and I can prove it." I whispered, "How?" She stepped closer and said, "Because I have the recorder too." I froze. She leaned in and whispered, "Not your husband's, mine. I recorded your mother-in-law last week. She said she would finish you if you came back." My chest tightened. I asked, "Where is it?" She pointed to her coat pocket, "Right here." Then she said, "But if you take it, you have to protect me, because she will kill me next." Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "I found you, look behind you." I didn't turn fast. I turned slow, keeping my knife up. Behind me, near the fence, a figure stood in the rain. Not my mother-in-law. Not the men. It was the security guard. He had no flashlight, no radio, just his hands in his jacket pockets like he was on a casual walk. He said, "You shouldn't have run." The assistant whispered, "Oh no, it's him." I asked her, "You know him?" She nodded once, her face was pale. "He's not a guard, he's her driver." The man smiled at me, "Smart girl." Then he looked at the assistant, "You caused trouble." She stepped closer to me like she needed protection. I didn't mean to. He pulled something out of his pocket. Not a gun. A small remote. He pressed a button. My phone went dead instantly, screen black. He said, "No calls, no tracking, no help." I felt trapped again. The assistant spoke fast. "Listen, we can talk, I have a recording, I can give it to you." The man laughed, "That's why I'm here." He took one step forward, "Hand it over." The assistant didn't move. He took another step, "Now." She slowly pulled out a tiny recorder from her pocket. My eyes locked on it. So it was real. The man reached for it. I moved first. I swung the knife at his hand. He jumped back, but the blade cut his knuckle. Blood spilled. His face changed instantly, no smile now. He rushed at me and hit my wrist. The knife fell. He grabbed my throat and slammed me against the fence. I tried to breathe, I couldn't. The assistant screamed, "Stop." The man snapped at her, "Give me the recorder." She hesitated. Then she threw it into the bushes. His head turned toward the bushes for half a second. That half second saved me. I smashed my knee into his stomach. He loosened grip. I slipped out and ran. The assistant ran too. We sprinted across the wet road, behind the nursing home. The man chased us, heavy footsteps close. Then headlights flashed. A car was coming fast toward us. The assistant yelled, "No." The car didn't slow down. It swerved and blocked our path. The driver window rolled down. My mother-in-law was sitting in the driver's seat. She smiled at me and said, "Get in." Then the passenger door opened by itself. And I saw what made my body freeze. Inside the car, my husband was sitting there awake, watching me, silent. I stared at him through the rain. My husband's face was pale, but his eyes were open. He wasn't drugged. He wasn't sleeping. He looked at me like he was waiting for my answer. My mother-in-law said again, calm, "Get in." The man behind us grabbed the assistant's arm. She screamed. He pulled her back. I didn't move. I looked at my husband and asked loudly, "Are you with them?" He didn't answer. My mother-in-law smiled. "He doesn't need to answer, you already know." I stepped closer to the car window. "You told me to run." My husband finally spoke, low voice. "I needed you out of the room." I froze. I whispered, "Why?" He stared at me. "Because the recorder isn't in my mother's house." My heart sank. He continued, "It was with you." I felt sick. "What?" He said, "That storm night, before they dumped you, I came there." My mother-in-law snapped, "Enough." But my husband kept talking. "I took the recorder and put it inside your bag. I wanted you to have proof one day." My breath broke. I whispered, "So you saved me?" He said, "Yes." Then he added, "But I also didn't stop them." The words hit me like a slap. My mother-in-law leaned out of the window. "Get in, or I will have my driver break your legs and take you anyway." The assistant cried behind me, "Please, she'll kill us." The man tightened his grip on her. I saw a chance. If I got in the car, I could be trapped. But if I didn't, the assistant would be taken, and I would be next. I made a decision. I walked to the car slowly. I opened the passenger door. My husband shifted back to give me space. I got in. The inside smelled like medicine and cold perfume. My mother-in-law locked the doors instantly. Then she drove. Fast. The assistant's screams faded behind us. I turned to my husband. "Where is my bag now?" He didn't look at me. "She has it." I whispered, "Then you brought me here to give her what she wants." He finally looked at me. His eyes were wet. He said, "No, I brought you here to show you the truth." My mother-in-law laughed, "Truth." Then she pulled into a dark, empty garage under the nursing home. She stopped the car. And she said, "Now both of you will give me the recorder." The garage door slammed shut behind us. Then the trunk popped open by itself. The trunk opened slowly like someone was controlling it. My mother-in-law didn't step out. She stayed in the driver's seat calm. She said, "Get out, both of you." My husband opened his door. I followed. The garage was empty. No cameras that I could see, only one light above us. Then I heard footsteps. The driver walked in from the side door. He was holding the assistant by the arm. Her face was bruised, hair messy. She looked scared. He pushed her to the ground. My mother-in-law stepped out of the car now. She walked to the assistant and looked down at her like trash. She said, "You failed." The assistant cried. "I tried," she ran. My mother-in-law slapped her. Then she looked at my husband. "And you decided to talk." My husband said, "I decided to stop." She smiled, too late. She pointed to the open trunk. "Now, recorder." I looked at my husband. "You said it was in my bag." My mother-in-law laughed. "Bag is gone." She nodded at the driver. The driver reached into the trunk and pulled out my bag. My stomach tightened. He opened it and threw everything on the floor. Cash, letters, photo. Then he pulled out something small and black. A recorder. My mother-in-law's eyes lit up. But then she froze. Because the recorder was not one piece. It was broken open. The inside memory card was missing. She screamed at the driver, "Where is it?" The driver stared. It was like this. My mother-in-law turned to my husband. "You took it." My husband shook his head. "I didn't." Then she turned to me. Her eyes became dark and sharp. You. I said, I don't have it. She rushed at me and grabbed my throat with both hands. She hissed, you always lie. My husband grabbed her arms. Stop. She shoved him away like he was nothing. The driver moved toward me too. The assistant suddenly crawled toward the items on the floor. Her fingers reached the second recorder she threw earlier, but it was soaked from rain. She pressed buttons, nothing. Then she screamed, it's ruined. My mother-in-law shouted, then you're useless. She pulled the syringe from her pocket again, like she always had it ready. She moved toward me. I backed up until my back hit the car. Then my husband suddenly said loud, Mother, the card isn't with her. My mother-in-law stopped. He continued, it's in the only place you'll never search. Her eyes narrowed, where? He looked straight at me and said one word. My pocket. Then he pulled out the memory card and crushed it in his fist. My mouth opened, but no words came out. My husband held the crushed memory card in his fist. Black plastic and tiny metal pieces fell between his fingers. My mother-in-law screamed, no. She slapped him hard across the face. You idiot. The assistant stared at him in shock. Why would you do that? My husband's voice was weak but steady, because I'm done being controlled. My mother-in-law grabbed the syringe and rushed at him. Then you die now. I moved without thinking. I grabbed her wrist again. This time she bit my hand. Pain shot through me. I screamed. The driver grabbed my shoulders and threw me to the floor. My head hit the concrete. My mother-in-law climbed over me and aimed the syringe at my neck. My husband shouted, stop. He coughed and fell to his knees. My mother-in-law paused for 1 second. That second was enough. The assistant suddenly ran to the side door and pressed an emergency button on the wall. A loud alarm exploded in the garage. Red lights flashed. My mother-in-law's face changed from confidence to rage. The driver grabbed the assistant and slammed her into the wall. Stupid. But the alarm was already on. Footsteps started upstairs, many running. My mother-in-law hissed, we leave now. She grabbed my husband's arm. Come. My husband pulled back. No. She slapped him again and said, then I leave you here to die. She turned to the driver. Get me out. The driver grabbed my arm and yanked me up. I tried to kick. He hit my stomach. I bent over. My mother-in-law grabbed my hair and forced my face close to hers. She whispered, you ruined my family. Then she pushed me away like garbage. The side door burst open. 2 nurses ran in first, then security, then police behind them. My mother-in-law raised her hands like she was innocent. Help, she attacked us. The assistant screamed, no, she's lying, she. The driver punched the assistant in the mouth. Blood sprayed. Police rushed forward. I shouted, she is my mother-in-law, she tried to drug me. My husband lifted his shaking hand and pointed at his mother. He whispered, arrest her. My mother-in-law's smile returned, slow and confident. She said, arrest me for what? The evidence is crushed. Then she leaned closer to the police officer and said something so calm it scared me. Ask my son who signed the papers. He did. I turned to my husband. He couldn't meet my eyes. The police separated everyone. A nurse helped me sit. My hand was bleeding from the bite. My head was spinning. My husband sat against the wall, breathing hard. 2 officers stood near him. My mother-in-law acted calm, like this was only a misunderstanding. The assistant was crying and holding her mouth. Then the officer asked, ma'am, what papers are you talking about? My mother-in-law pointed at my husband. He signed the nursing home agreement, power of attorney, medical consent, everything. The officer turned to him. Did you sign? My husband whispered, yes. My stomach dropped. I asked, what does that mean? My husband looked down. It means I gave her control. My mother-in-law smiled. He signed because he was weak. Now he can't accuse me. Anything I did here was legal under consent. The assistant started shaking her head. No, no, I didn't know that. My mother-in-law snapped at her. You never knew anything. That's why you were useful. I couldn't stay quiet anymore. I walked toward my husband, ignoring the pain. I asked him, so you brought me here knowing she had power? He whispered, I didn't know she was this far. I said, "You still hid it from me." He finally looked up at me. His eyes were full of regret. He said, "I thought I could fix it before you arrived. I thought I could confess, then die, then free you." I shook my head, "And you crushed the only proof." He answered, "No, I crushed hers." I froze. He leaned closer and whispered, "I copied it months ago." My breath stopped. I whispered, "Where?" He said, "In my phone in cloud storage under a fake account." My mother-in-law heard us. Her eyes widened for the first time. She shouted, "He's lying." My husband looked at the police officer and said louder, "Search my phone. You will hear her voice. You will hear what she planned." The assistant suddenly stood up and yelled, "And you will hear me too. I was part of it. I admit it." Everyone turned to her. My mother-in-law's face went hard. She walked toward the assistant slowly and said, "You will destroy yourself for her." The assistant cried, "You are going to kill me next." My mother-in-law leaned close to her and whispered, "Then you should have stayed loyal." Then she did something fast. She pulled the syringe again. And this time she didn't aim at me. She aimed it at the assistant's neck. My mother-in-law rushed at the assistant with the syringe. The police reacted late because it was too fast. But I was closest. I grabbed her arm with both hands and shoved it upward. The needle stabbed into her own shoulder. She screamed, her eyes went wild. An officer tackled her to the ground. Another officer cuffed her fast. The assistant fell back crying, shaking like she couldn't stand. My husband watched everything. He looked empty. The officer picked up the syringe with gloves and said, "This is enough for charges." My mother-in-law laughed even while cuffed. "Charges? For what? I did nothing. I only cleaned my home from filth." I walked toward her slowly. I looked her in the eyes and said, "You planned the lie. You planned the storm night. You wanted me dead." She didn't deny it. She smiled. "And you still came back." The police took her away. I turned to my husband. He reached for my hand with shaking fingers. "I'm sorry." I pulled my hand back. "Why did you let it happen?" He swallowed. "Because I was scared of my mother. She raised me like that. She owned my decisions, even my marriage." I asked, "So you chose her?" He whispered, "I chose weakness." The assistant walked toward me and held out her phone. "Here, the copy, the fake account login, everything, I'll testify." I took it without a word. Then my husband coughed hard and leaned against the wall. A nurse rushed to him. "He needs ICU." He looked at me one last time. "You were never the problem." I didn't answer. Because the truth was already clear. He didn't protect me when he could. He only confessed when he was dying. They rolled him away on a stretcher. As they pushed him out, he looked back and whispered, "Check the photo again." I opened my bag and pulled out the storm night photo. I flipped it over. This time, I noticed something I missed before. The handwriting on the back wasn't my husband's. It wasn't the assistant's either. It was my mother-in-law's handwriting. And the words were different than I remembered. They said, "If she survives, bring her back to me." You have reached the end of the text.